We've all seen the movie The Matrix. It was interesting and fun on the big screen of the TV, but has it become a bit too real in your own life? Are you seeing glitches in the Matrix and trying to figure out what's happening? Have you been told that you've been tricked and that you need to fight against what they've done to you? The deception. Whether you're just beginning to notice, or if you've been searching for a more peaceful and congruent way to live without battling them, you're in the right place. I'm Ken, and I'll be joined by Eliza and Raina Stella. Let's explore together on the Liberty Ark. All right, so welcome to the Liberty Ark Podcast, episode number 6, False Promises and Psychological Manipulation. I'm here with Eliza and Raina Stella, as usual. Welcome.
Hello. Great to be here.
I always make it awkward for you guys to know when to talk when I do that, don't I? All right. So, as usual, I'm going to have Eliza read through what we're going to talk about today.
Episode 6, False Promises and Psychological Manipulation. The system perpetuates itself through a combination of false promises and psychological manipulation. The belief in a future relief, whether in the form of spiritual ascension or a heavenly reward, keeps people compliant and hopeful. This hope, however, is often misplaced and serves to maintain the status quo. Promise of future salvation distracts individuals from addressing their current plight. It diverts their attention away from the tangible actions needed to break free from the systems of control. Instead, they remain trapped in a cycle of anticipation, waiting for a promised relief that may never come.
Thoughts from you guys?
Well, if we can start there with the first slide, Ken, one thing that right off the bat, off of the first slide is the system. And I know we've discussed it in the previous episodes, but I really want to get a clear picture that if I was entering or running into this episode with us here, brand new to this information, when we say the system and we repeat the system, the matrix, the system.
They.
Right? What really is the system? Because it's not one person, one entity. It's a combination. It's like this huge machine, right? That involves a collective, like government, schools, banks, courts, media, sometimes even our household, right? But let's just the outside sources, right? And I think it's very important as we're exploring this and learning off of each other here is that we make it super clear at this point, right? Episode 6, the system. It's just amazes me how this huge machine keeps, turning on its own and the combination of all of them put together. But on top of that, because we are uninformed, we are the ones keeping it alive. So, just one of the examples that I could think of, right, of the psychological manipulation is something that we run into every single day, all of us, right, which is like the police interactions, right? It's great that they're here to protect and serve, but it just seems like, they stop us for something so simple as them saying we didn't make a complete stop. But then from that, okay, fine, issue as a citation, but reality is they're not just looking for that. They are, speaking to us and trying to mess with our minds and make us believe something more for us to, make us feel uncomfortable, mess with our emotions, and then get us to possibly obey things that really, if we do not know how to manage it or stand up, it becomes something completely different. So again, it's just the psychological manipulation of this huge machine is just something that I really want to make sure that we capture at this point of us exploring this great read from Rebecca and Jonathan.
Eliza?
I'm so glad. I'm really, really glad that you started with basically, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? If we're in a soup, okay, whose soup is this? And, that it's mentioned the spiritual and psychological manipulation or promise of a better afterlife, that type of thing. But one of the biggest things that the system is trying to do is take away the connection to the spiritual side. Okay, so what is being done is more try to squeeze on the financial side, make it harder and harder to keep one's head above water, to feed a family, to even find a job. That's fear of not having, and the tighter they can squeeze from that side, that financial side tied into the legal side, is basically how the manipulation is done. And that's been done over and over and over through many countries, whether it's Marxism or any type of socialist side. So they're stripping us away from the spiritual aspirations that would keep us at least some hope of contentment. Now it's hope of keeping our head above water financially.
Would you say it's like them playing mind tricks on us?
Yeah, but it's fear and it's pressure. More and more stuff being thrown. Must have this, must have that. It's all pressure from that side, and that's a mind game.
When you say the system, I mean, there's really many systems that incorporate into what we're calling the system. And interesting to me is one of those systems that are incorporated into this is the church, right? So anytime things get organized in hierarchical structures, corruption occurs, right? You lose the originating purpose always in it. And that's been my experience with the church for the most part. It doesn't end up being the spiritual place to be. It ends up being a completely different construct for the most part, and usually pretty much a control construct with corruption throughout. And the financial system is the same way. The legal system is the same way. So you get a bunch of theoretically individual systems, and you put them into one big system, and they just build upon themselves and creates a larger mess that's designed for control. And nobody knows who the person is because there's not a the person. It kind of takes on a life of its own and has a force that rolls. Now, there's design behind it, though. It didn't just happen accidentally.
Yeah, and it just continues to get bigger and bigger. Yeah.
That strong word right here, perpetuates. I just always see the tentacles that are growing and growing and growing to infiltrate all parts of our lives, our souls.
It just never stops.
You want to go to the next?
That's what we're looking for, our solutions. Do we have a way out, a way through,
Mm-hmm.
a way through? We don't want to exit life. We want to be able to control our lives. We want to be able to make choices that matter to us.
Mm.
Yeah, I think, searching for solutions, definitely on the problems that we run into, can assist there, right? And as we search, we can definitely find paths that'll help us understand or learn how to play the right way in the system.
Yeah, just knowing what's being done to you is valuable. If you're just going on about your way with no understanding of the control that's being exerted on you, it can be kind of exhausting.
But yeah, because I think it's more than just one way that they keep us, going and keep us in their control, right? It tricks is of course one way. I mean, they use a lot of trickery and tricks on us, lies. But again, it's up to us to definitely just continue this path, continue this learning and gaining this knowledge as we go. Promises, don't forget, go get a good job. You'll be happy.
Yeah.
Go to school, get a good job, be happy. Right?
What got me on this slide and my attention skipped to the summary of this page is that this hope that's being given, it's our hope is misplaced, and that's purposeful. That's purposeful misdirection, because it serves to maintain the status quo. It serves to have us not ask questions, and it serves to think we don't have a choice.
Keyword there is compliant, in my view.
Yeah.
Hopeful's not all bad, but misplaced hope is. But compliance tells me you're doing stuff because somebody else wants you to, not because you chose.
Yeah, but
No, it's funny.
sometimes, sorry, Eliza, about that.
No, go ahead.
Sometimes that hope, right, again, is used as a trick to stop us from making our lives better now.
I agree that it's interesting, compliant and hopeful in the same sentence, because compliant is usually when you have lost hope and you have just, released to say, it's too hard. I'll just go with the flow. It's anti-hope.
For those of us,
their type of hope.
For those of us that are weirdos that aren't naturally compliant, that's true. You have to get to the, an exasperation stage to become compliant. But I think we're kind of weirdos from that standpoint. And I don't think most people are even aware of their compliance. They're just doing it the way it's always been done. It was interesting. When I was an accountant, I was an auditor for a period of time, an internal auditor. And one of the things you do there is you go to an area, human resources or whatever, and you sit down with them and you say, okay, what procedures do you do? And you're looking for areas where things aren't being done efficiently, that kind of thing, right? And then you write up a report saying, hey, we need to change these things. This was in an insurance company, which is just, insurance companies are like banks, they're kind of old, stodgy kind of places that tend to keep people on that they should have fired 30 years ago. And it's not, it's not forward thinking for the most part. And it drove me crazy because the most common thing I saw, and it was just constant, right? I'd sit down with somebody that had been working there for 30 years, right? And I'd say, well, okay, show me what you do. Well, I take this piece of paper and I write this on it here, and then I put it over in that file. And I'd say, and then what? Oh, I don't know. That's what I do. I've been doing it forever. Does anybody ever use that? Well, I don't think so. well, why are we doing it? And it would have to do with some kind of procedure that made sense 30 years ago. But now everything's completely changed, right? But this person is just going through the activity that they've always done without any question for, does this make any sense? I mean, why am I doing this? Because I've always done it. And that was the answer I got all the time, was because that's the way we've always done it.
The crazy part, though, is like, I mean, they're following the rules, following procedures, staying calm, but sometimes they even are being treated badly, and they just go with the flow. They believe, oh, it'll get better later. But yeah, I mean, that's being robotic, definitely. I mean, even understanding the concept. I mean, that would have been a great question. But do you understand why you're doing it? Understand the concept?
I'm doing it that way because that's the way I've always done it. And they give me a paycheck at the end of the week. That's really what it comes down to, right? They don't want to. They don't want to rock the boat at all by asking questions. They just want to head down.
Security, right? Security. They don't want to mess with doing it the wrong way or changing it because it'll impact them. True.
One thing that Reina Stella brought up in our earlier podcast was the box. That we see the 6 walls of the box we're in. We're thinking that is the world. That's how it's always done. And we don't question anything outside the box. There's a risk in questioning outside of the box. Now, our hope might be something, say, is there something beyond the box better for me? But the box is comfy.
Because a reward is better, right? Without them questioning and standing up for change, right? They'd rather get a reward instead.
And one of the most common threads that I see in humans is we don't know what we don't know, right? But most people don't recognize that. They know what they know, and they think that is the universe. So they never question it, right? But so those 6 walls of the box are just the way it is. When you know you don't know, and there's a whole lot that you don't know, it can cause you to start asking a lot of questions and attempting to figure out what's on the other side of that side of the box. But that makes you a weirdo.
We're okay with that.
Yeah. And to me, that's a positive use of hopefulness, saying maybe there is something on the other side of that. Well, let me peek around there and see, as opposed to, I'm going to stay here in the box and maybe it's going to get better someday.
I think a big piece is to be a part of a discussion, a community that allows you to question the hope outside of the box. Okay, you don't know. Very few of us want to take the journey alone, and gathering all of that information and support to do so. It's not only exhausting, but therein we feel risk. Okay, but being part of a community to go forward where that can happen, a little bit of hand holding, that's what we all want. And that's okay. I'll be the first to raise my hand that it's exactly how I would want. As much as I would question outside of the box, that would be great.
One of the things I've seen, though, that you got to be careful of in communities is it can turn into a depressive complaint. There's another word for this, but I'm not going to use it. I think you know what I'm saying. Which isn't useful or hopeful. It just digs you into a depression, basically. So you got to be careful of what group you participate with. It has to be people that are attempting the same thing you're attempting, rather than just wanting to complain about everything.
Yeah, aligned in the same way as As yourself, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Not only that, I think emotions do get in the way initially with this type of information. And I think that's where we also have to be rapidly aware that we need to make sure we work with our self, our inner self, and help control those emotions, because we're all learning together in that community that you've selected, right? If you're aligned with it, emotions can still get in the way. So it's just being very cautious, because you're learning so many new things that that you need to make sure you're understanding that it's okay, because you have a lot of let's call it initially you're in shock, possibly a little bit angry, but you need to understand that that's okay. That's normal, because you're getting this new information and you've never heard it before. And sometimes it can come across a little strong. So you just need to learn how to immediately find a way, right, to heal yourself, and that it's okay and you're learning and it's something new, regardless of what's coming from other individuals, other people.
Well said. Promise of future salvation. Now, how can something that sounds so good be distracting? It's like it's what they're saying is that it has us more ignoring the fact that there could be something outside of the box. Just that promise has us be compliant.
Well, if you believe like someone's going to save you later, right? You might forget to take care of it now, right? Or save yourself today versus later. And it's and I think that's part of how the machine continues. We continue to feed the machine, right? Because we keep pushing things off for tomorrow, in the future, later, right? Yeah, it's, stopping or trying to fix things that may be wrong right now, and us pushing it off for a later point, it just pulls our focus away from the real steps that we can be taking now to break out of this unfair situation.
I think the more, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go right ahead, Liz.
I think the more if someone is thinking, well, there's no point in future salvation and I want out of this box, the more that we can be kept struggling just to keep our heads above water, the current life or family, job, whatever it is, and mostly financially, then that's the backup. That's the backup. And then that has people too tired because it's the current struggle. But what I think we get to a point, we realize that that's exactly the thing that should be making us question, are we meant to be struggling in this way? Or is it part of keeping us in a box? And I had to come, and answer that question as well. I wasn't necessarily comfortable, but was I so busy that questioning things was I had no time, but I had to make time. That was worth it to me. We make time.
So it does take time to start questioning and figuring, and you've got to actually be able to sit with stuff, And I think most people are so busy with family and ball games for the kids and all this kind of stuff that it's really hard to force yourself to calm so that you can even think And then if you can do that, though, then there's small things you can do. You don't have to do everything today, right? But it diverts their attention away from the tangible actions needed to break free of the systems of control. Once you begin to recognize the presence of the systems of control, the you are here situation that we're talking to folks about, then you got to not get overwhelmed by how large that is. And that can happen really easily, right? And recognize you're not going to break free from those systems all at one whack. These things have been developed over many, many years and organized in such a fashion that you're going to have to start working at it a little bit at a time. And there's groups and people that are working on it at the same time that you can participate with. But even still, nobody's going to just hand you this is the way for you. There'll be people that try to sell you that this is the way for you. But that's just a good way to lose a lot of money because you have to figure out what's right for you. And I'm not saying don't ever spend any money because there's reasons to do that for assistance. But not just everything that comes down the pike is going to be the fix for you. So I would encourage folks to beware of anybody that tries to convince you that they have the simple way out. People love to fall for those things. And my experience is there is no simple way out. There's a learn your way out. And it takes work and study, and it's fun, especially if you find some other folks like these two that we all study together a lot. And I mean a lot. Not everybody has time to put into it like we do, but we do it because we want to. But we've all spent lots of money on things, and some of them have turned out, some of them haven't. But it's a process. It's a learning experience. Nobody can do it for you. They can do it with you, but they can't do it for you. So you can't buy it. You can purchase things that assist. But be careful about the quick fix. Once you start recognizing the trap that's there, don't jump into another trap.
Yeah, I mean, the actions that some people have other people do without them understanding fully gets them in trouble. So yeah, definitely take time. I do want to touch on something. Ken, you mentioned tangible ways. And I wanted to touch on that to clear it up, at least for me. When you mentioned tangible, are we referring to like learning, like things that we can do tangible, like learning, speaking up, like joining a community so we can create that change for ourselves? Is that what you mean by tangible?
Yeah, I mean, just listen to this podcast is a tangible way to begin to pique your understanding and to be able to expand your thinking. The tendency, in my experience, is for people to do the same thing. What's the Gopher Day or whatever it is, the movie, you know what I'm talking about? I can't remember the name of it now.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, is Groundhog Day. Living the same day over and over and over and over again. It's like people will tell you how long they've done a particular thing, and the reality is they've done the same thing day after day after day for many years, but they haven't really grown in that process or learned or expanded. And with this type of work, you have to learn and expand. You have to put effort in, but it pays off because, again, as you attempt to see what's going to work for you, you have to understand why. Nobody else can just hand you a piece of paper and say, do this. That's not the way it works. You have to, even if they got results from doing that, that doesn't mean you're going to get the same results because you got to understand why. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to put the effort in. They just want to. There's no difference than with healthcare, right? It's the same thing with healthcare. People ask me what I should take for X, and I say you should probably quit taking stuff that you're taking, and then put in the effort to be healthy, right? But that takes work. You can't just purchase your health, right? It's a participatory process, and this is too. And hope we can be assistant of people in that process. But we can't do it.
And then you also mentioned, us three, other people might not have the same amount of time we do. But I have to mention, and I'm sure you as with your business, right? You have made time and probably got rid of things that weren't really helping you anymore to make time, to put the time in. What I'm saying is I think we all can find a way to make time to learn this. And I think we've talked about it in the past as well. It's not that I have abundance of time. You and Eliza have abundance of time. I think we have maneuvered and moved things out of our life that are not really helping us to make the time we need for the exploring of this read. I really think, at least for myself, I know that I have said, okay, I'm not doing this because I'm going to use that hour for this. I'm not doing this I'm going to use that 30 minutes for this. So in other words, you start getting things that are not serving you and utilizing that extra time. And that's how we manage to make the time we need. And yes, we all have crazy busy lives, all of us. And then the second thing, of course, is the community that we have encountered as we go. I love it because the level that Eliza has, the level of understanding and knowledge that she has, and Ken as well, the level of understanding that you have is completely different than where I'm at. And bouncing the ideas around and listening to the way Eliza gives us the information regarding trust and just the topics that come within this community, right? Ken, when we bounce ideas off of each other, wow, that's how I'm capturing a lot of the information. And it just pulls me in further. I want to know more. I want to learn more. But it is so amazing to have people like yourselves around me. I love it. And I just want to continue growing the community to have more and more people to talk to, because I think that's really not only the ability for us to learn off of each other, but just the support that we need, right? The support and the emotional support we need to be able to get through it sometimes, because when you don't understand this, how you explain it, how Eliza explains it, that's what it means, right? Like we are able to help each other in that way. So thank you guys.
I've always studied in groups throughout college and everything, and it's the only way that I can learn, because I know I'm locked into my own vision tunnel on any subject, right? And I'm aware that I'm not seeing the whole thing, but I still can't see it, right? But if I can mention it to you all and ask a question, then you're all going to have you got your own tunnels, right? We're all looking through a tunnel, but it expands my tunnel by your tunnel, basically, right? So we all get improved vision by assisting each other in just talking through things and trying to get a more full understanding of what we're reading and seeing and perceiving.
Definitely. But let's not forget also the action, the doing also is a big part of helping us learn further, is the action, taking action. So,
yeah. And what I draw, it's been immense. And I've always been, making the time is one thing. Okay. You're right, Renestella, that you eventually start wanting more information.
Mhm.
And I'm one of those, like, I've always been someone, I always like was lone wolf studying on whatever, unless I was on a group project, because it was so easy. Like, I easily get distracted with squirrel, you know. I'll go dive into that, or I'll go do into that. And so it's taken some discipline.
Yeah.
The other piece is, and start to observe your environment. Are there other people that you see dipping a toe out of the box for information? And ask questions. If something comes up to create fear in you for doing so, ask the question, uh, not should I completely shut down, but what was done, good or bad, there that either prevented success, or where should I look further if that resonates with me? You know, it's like filter, like you were both suggesting, filter things through yourself. If that filtering through myself, if that resonates with me, like perhaps I should be looking into that. Help me explore what the success pathway is, because there's always a non-successful pathway. There are probably more of those, but there are ways that we say through that feel freeing. And if you can find a community then along the way, then there's the blessing. You two are my blessing.
Aw. Likewise. Ditto, as they say.
Absolutely. So instead, they remain trapped in a cycle of anticipation, waiting for promised relief that may never come from the outside. I added the outside in. So you got to go inside and find it instead of expecting somebody to come save you from the outside. If you've reached the point that you recognize there just might be more. And you get
a lot of promises that, pardon me.
And you get dissatisfied with hanging out in the box.
Yeah. There are a lot of promises out there that just say, relief is coming, and it's free.
Mm-hmm.
Free release of coming. You just stay in the box for now, keep doing what you're doing, and the heavens will break loose and there will be relief. And like for free, and it isn't for free. Because even if the heavens break loose and there's relief, if you haven't explored what to do with that relief and how it applies to you and the pathway, you won't be able to take advantage of the new pathways. However you get there, whatever your studies bring, but it will come, as been mentioned for, it's work.
And if it's free, what value does it actually have, right?
Generally not much.
You get what you pay for. So, yeah, that was really good. Now we're going to go on to a new conversation next time. I'm going to bring that up. Episode 7 is going to be Breaking the Chains of Illusion. So that sounds kind of interesting. So everybody come back and listen to episode 7. Thank you, guys.
I love that. I look forward to this one because I can either view this as something that is scary or something that is really cool.
Yeah.
And has promise. So thanks for introducing.
I'm choosing that second one. Right, Estella?
I'll mention that. Yeah, and I'll mention this. I want to say it may be like just to my last thought on the closing of this episode 6. Let's see if it does fit in to it. But I wanted to share the following. And again, this is just as I go through the reading, right? I make my notes and try to relate it to things that I've encountered. But I wanted to mention so people can really pause and think about this. But, we get to this world, as a baby, right? And for some of us, we grow up with zero guidance, zero support. You can bleep this out if you want to. You work your ass off to survive and manage somehow to get ahead, right? But you manage to build something out of nothing. And then you wake up to this information and you realize none of what you acquired in assets is yours. None of it. You're now in shock.
Now that's going to take some explaining.
We can cut it. You're in shock.
We'll leave it in, and then we'll fill it out over time.
You can cut it. But anyways, I wanted to share this because I really like it. It just as I was reading through it, I'm like, wait, that thought came to mind. I'm going to just throw it in there. You're in shock, possibly a little angry. But I am so fortunate to have met Eliza, Ken, Rebecca, Jonathan, and others in the community to learn and gain knowledge to own nothing and control all of it. And that, to me, it's the real thing, the real deal, the real thing. That's how I see it happen to me.
And what's really interesting is that the people that think they own stuff don't, right? But once you once you recognize how it works, you don't need to own it, and the owning can actually be problematic, right? But when you control it, but you don't have the pressures of ownership, that's actually a better situation to be in. Yes,
you can breathe.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. It's like, we can gain the knowledge to own nothing and control all of it. And that's what we're going to be doing. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Now, a lot of the folks out there are thinking, WEF, own nothing and be happy.
Totally fine. Totally fine. Bleep it. I don't care.
but you got to understand it in order to understand it.
Oh, at episode 6, and especially with episode 6 discussion that we just had, this should make a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
It should.
Okay.
And it will. It will.
You got a good teaser in there at the end. I like that. All right. We're going to close it out for today. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Brilliant.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye. Love you.
The views expressed in this Liberty Ark podcast are for informational and educational purposes only. They do not constitute legal or tax advice, and they may not reflect the official positions of anyone at all, really. We want to express our appreciation to the authors of the unpublished manuscript titled The Great International Heist, on which the Liberty Ark podcast is based. Rebecca and Jonathan Rodrigues, the authors, provide courses that go into much greater depth and are available at libertyarkpodcast.com/white rabbit.